Great that you have purchased a brand new KOA subset at Surfcenter. In this video we will explain how to set up your new SUP such that you can get going on the water as soon as possible. In the bag you will find the following parts: the pump, a tube that fits on the pump, a leash, a repair kit, the fin, a 2-piece paddle, and of course the SUP itself. First, we want to find a smooth surface on which we can unfold the SUP. It is important that there are no stones or other sharp objects under the board to prevent any damage when inflating. Next up, we will get the pump out of the bag. On top of the pump, you will find a rubber ring, which is meant to be a replacement if you lose the ring that is already fitted on the tube of the pump. The tube can be attached to the pump by fastening it onto the fitting below the handle of the pump. Do not attach the other end of the pump to the SUP yet, but first check whether the valve is in the correct position. It is very important that the valve is in upward position. You can check this by pushing the valve inwards and then turning it to the left. The valve will then come upwards if it wasn't already. If the valve is in the downward position, all the air will come directly out after inflating the SUP. Now you are ready to attach the pump to the board. Put the fitting of the pump into the valve and then turn it to the right. When the tube stays in place, you can leave it alone and start inflating the SUP. Inflating the SUP too softly is a mistake that is made often. The board will then be very unstable. Therefore, it is important to take a look at the pressure instructions next to the valve of the SUP. For the KOA specifically, it is given that the maximum recommended pressure is 15 psi. We will take this pressure as our standard. On top of the pump, a pressure meter is located. Beware that this meter only shows the pressure that is in the SUP from around 10 psi onwards. Now that we know how hard our SUP must be inflated, you can continue pumping. This can be quite an exercise, but see it as a warm-up for your first SUP ride. When pumping, make sure that you keep your back straight and go through your knees when pushing down. Check if you see some air entering the SUP. When the board looks quite filled up, you can take a look at the pressure meter. Now we see that we will still need to inflate further at this point. When the pressure meter has reached 15 psi, you can stop inflating and release the tube of the pump by turning it to the left and pulling it up. Close the valve by turning the valve cap to the right. Now it is time to set your paddle to the correct height. After attaching both parts of the paddle to each other, you can determine the paddle height that suits you best. To do this, place a good shaka on top of your head. The length of your paddle should be you plus the shaka. Now open up the clamp of the paddle and extend the paddle to the top of your hand. Sometimes you may notice that even with the clamp closed, the paddle is able to extend. This issue can be easily solved by turning the clamp clockwise a few turns. If the paddle is now locked, you are good to go. The leash is attached to a small metal ring at the back of the board. We strongly recommend attaching the leash to your ankle. In this way you will never lose your board on the water. The last step before going out on the water is attaching the fin to the board. Put the fin in place and insert the lock such that the fin is not able to move anymore. Now you're ready to go on the water. Don't forget to attach the leash to your ankle. If you want to learn the basics of stand-up paddling, then check the separate How to SUP Beginner's Guide video in the top right corner. Stay with us for some information on how to put the SUP away. Congratulations! You just had your first SUP session. Now it is time to put the board and the accessories back in the bag. First, you can take the fin out of the board by pushing on the small tab. Then turn the board around and remove the leash. When the board is clean, you can deflate the SUP. Open the valve cap by turning anti-clockwise, then push and hold the valve and turn it to the right. You should now hear all the air coming out of the board. Gently push some leftover air out of the board. Then you will need to fold up the SUP. Always start at the side where the valve is not located. Push the last bits of air out while folding. Make sure that you do not create a folding line on the black fin pads to keep these in good condition. Tighten the strap gently to keep the folded SUP as a small package. Also get the paddle back into two pieces again. Now it is time to put everything back into the bag. Start with the board and put all accessories on top of that. And that's it! Put the bag on your shoulders and take your new KOA SUP to the greatest destinations. If you've liked the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.